Alright, I'll try not to cut this video at all, but we'll see what happens. This is beginning my series in epistemology. I mean, I have like about 50 or so videos in epistemology and philosophy of the mind. That's a rough category, I guess, of all those videos I have, which just kind of randomly categorized into one playlist. But this is an actual starting of an actual series. This is starting chronologically with G.E.Moore. That's what this video is going to be about. And then it'll go on through the Bertrand Russell and through the Vienna Circle and Rudolf Carnap and J.E.Moore and on to Quine. And I have videos about some of these figures already in analytic epistemology, but I kind of want to start over and have new videos and have new discussions. G.E.Moore had a article which kind of starts this whole chronological discussion, and then once we get to the things like the Gettier problem and the epistemic regress problem, we'll start with in the Blackwell anthology of epistemology. I got water, so my throat does not dry out. Anyway, this is introducing a very important thing called sense data. It's very, very important to analytic epistemology. So this is going to be a reading. I'm going to read what I think is important. This was, I think, in like 1910 or something, where G.E.Moore did this. My first question is then, what exactly is it that happens when we see a material object? And I should explain, perhaps, as to avoid misunderstanding, that I do not mean to say anything at all about bodily processes, which occur in the eye, in the optic nerves, in the brain. I have no doubt myself that these bodily processes do occur when we see, and that the physiologists really do know a great deal about them. But all that I shall mean by seeing, and all that I wish to talk about, is the mental occurrence, the act of consciousness, which occurs, as is supposed, as a consequence or accompaniment of these bodily processes. So we're talking about, when we talk about a phenomenological active consciousness, in intentionality, we're not really talking about those phenomenological things, but we're talking about the act of consciousness. The mental occurrence is known to us in a much more simple and direct way than are the complicated physiological processes which go on in our eyes, nerves, and brains. A man cannot directly observe the minute processes which go on in his own eyes and nerves and brains when he sees. But all of us who are not blind can directly observe this mental occurrence, which we mean by seeing. And I wish to illustrate what I have to say about seeing by a direct practical example, because though I dare say many of you are perfectly familiar with this sort of points I wish to raise, it is, I think, very important for everyone in these subjects to consider carefully single concrete instances, so there may be no mistake as to exactly what it is that is being talked about. Such mistakes are, I think, very apt to happen if one talks merely in generalities, and moreover, one is apt to overlook important points. I propose, therefore, to hold up an envelope in my hand and to ask you all to look at it for a moment, and then to consider with me what exactly it is that happens when you see it, what this occurrence, which we call the seeing of it, is. So he's gonna hold up a envelope. He's doing a lecture here. This is a lecture. He's doing a lecture, and he's gonna hold up a envelope in front of a lot of people, and he's talking about the mental act of he's talking about the active consciousness that each of these people are going to have when they see this envelope. I hold this envelope up, then I look at it and put it down again. Now what has happened? We should certainly say that we all saw that envelope, the same envelope. I saw it, and you all saw it. And by the it, which we all saw, we mean an object which, at any one of these any one of these moments when we were looking at it, occupied just one of the many places that constitute the whole of space. Even during the short time in which we were looking at it, it may have moved, occupied successively several different places for the Earth. For the Earth, what we believe is constantly going around on its axis and carrying with it all the objects on the surface. So that even while we looked at the envelope, it probably moved and changed its position in space, though we did not see it move. But at any one moment, we should say this the envelope, which we say we all saw, was at some one definite place in space. But now, what happened to each of us when we saw that envelope? I'll begin by describing part of what happened to me. I saw a patch. So a patch is the inherent part of the sense data thing. I saw a patch of a particular whitish color, having a certain size and a certain shape. A shape with rather sharp angles or corners, and bounded by fairly straight lines. These things, this patch of whitish color and its size and shape, I did actually see. And I propose to call these things, the color and size and shape, sense data, things given or presented by the senses, given in this case by my sense of sight. Many philosophers have called these things, which I call sense data, sensations. They would say, for instance, that particular patch of color was a sensation, but it seems to me that this term sensation is liable to be misleading. So we should certainly say that I had a sensation when I saw that color. But when we say that I had a sensation, what we mean by sensation is my seeing of the color, not the color which I saw. It's very unnatural to say that I had the color, that I had the particular whitish gray, or that I had the patch, which was of that color. What I certainly did have is the experience which consisted in my seeing the color in the patch. And when therefore we talk of having sensations, I think what we mean by sensations is the experiences which consist in apprehending certain sense data, not these sense data themselves. I think then the term sensation is liable to be misleading, because it may be used in two different senses, either for the color which I saw, or for the experience which consisted in my seeing it. I want to go to where he's talking about the envelope here. Okay. I will illustrate what I mean by holding up the envelope again and looking at it. I look at it and I again see a sense datum, a patch of a whitish color. But now I immediately turn away my eyes and I no longer see that's a sense datum. My seeing of it has ceased to exist. But I am by no means sure that the sense datum, the very same patch of whitish color which I saw, is still not existing and is still there. I do not say for certain that it is. I think very likely it is not. But I have a strong inclination to believe that it is. And it seems to me at least conceivable that it should still be existing. So I'm just going to kind of summarize what's going on here. He holds up a envelope in front of the whole class, or in front of this whole group of people. And so I'm going to use here. I'll use this marker. So I'm going to hold up this marker in front of a lot of people. And as you can see, there's various parts of this marker. There's various different parts of it. So if I hold it up like this in front of lots of people, everybody's going to see a different thing, a different part, I guess, of this marker. Everybody's going to have a different sense datum, or a different set of sense data of size, shape, and color. So a sense data is really size, shape, and color. So when I hold this up in front of people, if let's say there's somebody over here, here, and here, person over here and here and here are going to see various different things. So you're going to see the roundness, how big it is. They're going to see the colors here. So it's various things that they will see. So he talks about direct apprehension of sense data. So he talks about the good question as to whether could all of these sense data be applied to be on one object. But it might be said, of course, that when we say that we all saw the envelope, we do not mean that we all saw the whole of it. I, for instance, only saw this side of it, whereas all of you only saw that side. And generally, when we talk of seeing an object, we only mean seeing some part of it. There is always more in any object which we see than the part of it which we see. And this, I think, is quite true. Whenever we talk roughly of seeing any object, it is true that in another stricter sense of the word see, we only see a part of it, and it might therefore be suggested that why we say we all saw this envelope when we each in fact saw a different set of sense data is because each of these sets of sense data is in fact a part of the envelope. But it seems to me that there's a great difficulty even in maintaining that the different sense data we all saw are parts of the envelope. What do we mean by a part of the material object? We mean, I think, at least this. What we call a part of a material object must be something which occupies part of the volume in space occupied by the whole object. For instance, anything which is a part of the envelope at any moment must be in some part of the must be in some part of the volume of space occupied by the whole envelope at the moment or at some point in the surfaces bounding the volume. So I'm gonna try it. This seems to be the state of things with regard to these sense data. They seem, in a sense, to have had very little to do with the real envelope. If there was a real envelope, it seems very probable that none of the colors seen was really part of the envelope, and that none of the sizes and shapes seen were the size and the shape of the real envelope. So I'm just going to kind of summarize this here. What is discussed is the possibility of all of the sense data. Everybody has seen a set of sense data with this marker. Let's say it is this marker, and everybody sees a different set of sense data for it. And the question is as to whether everybody's set of sense data that they see. You know, everybody has a set of sense data. I see size, shape, and color. I have a set, he has a set, and they have sets. The question is as to whether every person's set of sense data that they see in a direct apprehension of the object, is it all a part of this one object? If it is really there. So he seems they seem in sense to have very little to do with the real envelope, if there was a real envelope. So this is kind of going back to this little dichotomy between the material object and the sense data or the phenomena. So that's kind of a big question. So we will continue on this with Bertrand Russell. The question here as to whether it is really true that everybody's sense data is all on this one, all on this one object. And if it is, that's something very difficult to even think about. If you can find this article, or even talk to me, and I can actually send it to you. I'm sure that you could find it somewhere, though. It would be very good for anybody looking at analytical epistemology to read this, because it's a real question, because everybody sees this was one object, and it's a question is that the sense data I see and you see, are they all part of this one thing, or is only a certain set there, and I'm seeing illusions or whatever.